Week 15 in the NFL is here, and if you thought that Chuba Hubbard chalk looked bad on Friday, oh boy, strap in for it. You're going to get in a few moments here. But of course, we're going to do what we always do here. We're going to look at the projections from the industry leaders at Stokastic. Going to compare that to the ownership. They're going to run some sims on the solver and Stokastic to see what the best sim lineups are heading into week 15 here. It should be a fun one, even though the slate is going to leave us with a lot of questions. Let's get into it. Appreciate seeing the chats. Appreciate seeing so many of you guys waiting to start. It's a chaotic morning here. The kid's sick. A wife got back at 12 o'clock from New York last night. So we're doing great here. We're crushing. But let's get into the data here and let's start it off. Talk about what we need to here, which is week 15 news. And actually what I should have done to open this up, there was a tweet that just came out from ETR talking about the Q tags. Good amount of Q tags today that matter. Let me see if I could grab that really fast. It might be a more important thing to open up with. You have a few guys that we're worried about the status of right now. Ladd McConkey's one. He was projected to be a little bit chalkier earlier in the week, but still looks like a popular play. Looks like he's going to go today. Besides that, here we go. Bucky Irving expected to go from Establish the Run. Breece Hall, Sterling Shepard expected to go. Tony Pollard expected to go despite missing some practices this week and limited practices. Maybe a little bit more work for Tyjae Spears, but still Tony Pollard probably get the lion's share of work there. Game time decision, which we should know in about 2 hours or so. David Njoku, DeAndre Swift supposedly will be going tomorrow is what he said. They don't have Roshan Johnson, so Swift supposedly going to be the only back they really have to lean on there. Travis Homer is still in the running back room, but not very good. Game time decision / optimism. Ladd McConkey, as I mentioned, he is expected to go. Roshan Johnson, Raheem Blackshear, those guys are out. So the backup for Carolina, I don't even know who it is. I assume they're going to activate somebody from the depth chart, but looking up the Panthers depth chart real fast because they had signed a few practice squad guys. I don't know who they called up or who they will call up. Panthers backup, Velus Jones. So Velus Jones is the one in for some work. Mike Boone, the stalwart. All right. So those are your backups for Carolina today. Blackshear was limited in practice, and I think people thought he was going to go. Now not going to go. So that all ties together here. The reason we're talking about that is that Chuba Hubbard, Stokastic, did not back off the projection at all. 23.9 fantasy points here. They're still about 4 points higher than ETR is on the projections. As a result, if you're playing Stokastic data today, you're going to end up with a lot more of Chuba Hubbard than you would on ETR. So that's one thing to note right away. ETR, though, still with him being at that $6,500 salary. Chuba Hubbard looks like one of the best plays on the slate, no matter what projection set you're playing. Just the main thing to keep in mind, though, is that Stokastic users, we saw it on Friday. He was getting in 100% of lineups on the sim that we had, top 150 of those lineups. So that's going to probably be the case again here today. That's how it looks. Here we go. 3,000 second place. Thanks, man. I could have set that as a super chat. Glad to hear it, Clarence. Thank you for that. Tommy Tremble will get some carries. Yeah, that's how it looks. Cheaper red zone usage is insane. It's not insane. He's getting 3.8 touches a game. That's pretty standard for a lead back. I mean, it's good, but it's not insane. Insane is what like Joe Mixon gets over 5 a game. That'd be insane. Josh Allen at number 2. Josh Allen, I did see projects pretty well for fantasy points data. I was looking at their projection set just to kind of get a different look at things. I was up late last night and was playing with some different stuff. Josh Allen, though, hard to love at 8,500. Definitely gets a little bit more of the opportunity theoretically going against Detroit. The main thing for me with Josh Allen is like, do you think people chase that after he put up 50 fantasy points last week? If you pay $8,500 for a QB, it's pretty limited as what you could do, especially for Buffalo, where you're getting Dalton Kincaid, presumably going to be back in. We'll see. We'll know in a couple hours. Getting Kincaid back, you have Shakir, you get Keon Coleman back in. That one's already been guaranteed in. You have Amari Cooper out there. Like, there's enough ways that you can't stack things up. So I think that's really the main thing for Josh Allen here is like not easy to stack. People are going to probably jam in a little bit more than they probably should. Those are sort of the main things to keep in mind with Josh Allen at that price point. But a good projection on him. Top QB projected on the week, according to Stokastic data. Lamar Jackson at number 2 in terms of the QBs. $8,300 salary for him. A little bit tougher to love versus the Giants. Certainly possible they put the beatdown of all beatdowns on the Giants, but expect there to be a little more Derrick Henry involved. Zay Flowers is a guy coming up a lot for me with ETR's data yesterday. He was running some sims, playing with some lineups yesterday. Surprised to see that much Zay Flowers. So maybe if Derrick Henry gets jammed a little bit more, which was my thought on Friday, I have to say there's been some industry chatter. JM to win on his video with Pete on Friday talked about Derrick Henry being like the first play that he wanted to have in. I didn't hear a lot of people around the industry, though, talking about Derrick Henry because of the fact that I think pretty much everywhere else he doesn't project that well. You can see Derrick Henry's projection down here at 20.9. At 8,300, you're looking at kind of a similar projection / price thing as we saw last week with Saquon Barkley. So for Derrick Henry, if he's going to be owned at a rate that the field's not projected for, because of the fact that like ETR's projection is not that high for Henry. Stokastic's, I mean, it's high, like it's 20 fantasy points, but it's not that high for his salary. You have to wonder then, like, how much do people jam him in? My guess on Friday was he would be in about 25% of lineups this weekend. If that's the case, there is a little bit of logic in going to Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers, Lamar and Mark Andrews, Lamar and Bateman, some combo therein of those three guys. Because basically, if they score the touchdowns, Justice Hill, another option that could theoretically do it, but probably not enough of a projection to want to go to. If those guys get there, Derrick Henry doesn't. You're beating out a play that's already, kind of bad on its surface because of the fact that the projection doesn't work that well. But we got people jam it in because Baltimore a huge favorite here. What's the spread at right now? Baltimore 17-point spread. That has been consistently in favor of Baltimore, but has moved even more towards them. So for Baltimore here, just think this is one thing to point out that's kind of key. If you play Lamar, you are getting away from Derrick Henry and the fact that people might play him a little bit more than the industry is projecting right now, because I don't think that's correctly projected by the industry. Jamar Chase at number 4, another great play again, as always. We got DFS rundown over clapping cheeks. You can go clap cheeks if you want. Maybe hard to do both, but that's that. For Jamar Chase, another strong play overall. Obviously, the upside's been there week after week. I think he will get played probably a little more than he should this week because of the fact he just went off on Monday Night Football. That does matter a lot for sometimes a casual ownership that comes out on a Sunday following the Monday Night Football game. For Jamar Chase, though, hard to argue it. I took him 2+ anytime touchdowns for this week in my fantasy points prop column. So not opposed to Jamar Chase. Certainly wouldn't mind him seeing him fail a little bit more here. Good matchup on paper versus Tennessee. Tennessee's secondary, not particularly strong, giving up 0.02 EPA per dropback, 0.03 EPA per pass, close to the middle portion of the league. They also play zone a good amount, which Jamar Chase is particularly destroyed on the year. 3.3 yards per out run versus zone, 0.7 EPA. We're to a 0.02 EPA versus man. Kind of surprising to see that. And 1.9 yards per out run. So a zone-heavy matchup versus Tennessee, going to favor Jamar Chase here. No issue with you playing him, even though he's a fairly obvious wide receiver this week. Saquon Barkley, bad value metric on him. He didn't crush last week as chalk, even though had a very solid 100-yard day. Would say that for Saquon Barkley, a little bit of a tournament logic in going here this week because he did not come through last week in a spot versus Carolina where everybody played him, probably more than they should. That said, tough matchup on paper versus Pittsburgh, tough run defense, tough pass defense. I do think Saquon picks up a few more PPR points here with some of the whispers going on that frankly aren't really whispers. The team complaining about the passing offense. A.J. Brown complained post-game. Devontae Smith complained less directly post-game. Didn't go quite as viral, but he still had complaints. They're going to pass more this week to try to shut those guys up. As a result, you probably see better days for A.J. Brown, not necessarily tournament-winning days, but it could happen. But you also probably see Saquon pick up a few more PPR points. And frankly, he's getting 100 yards per game in like every situation. So if you wanted to talk yourself into playing Saquon at 8,600, I don't think it's the best play in the world, but as a tournament play, if he hits a big upside, it can happen. Let's go position by position real fast to your top QBs right now as of a 9:05 a.m. on the East Coast. We got Josh Allen, who we talked about, Lamar Jackson, number 2. We got Joe Burrow at number 3. Just zip down your hoodie. Thank you, Spencer. I appreciate it. We're not taking shirts off. We're just slightly showing some flesh or exposing more of the shirt underneath. That's fine by me. Joe Burrow, 2.9x value for him. Again, another spot here versus Tennessee where if you do see Jamar Chase go off, Burrow's going to look a little bit more appealing. T. Higgins still getting pretty good work with 9.3 targets a game compared to Jamar Chase's 9.8 per game. So both guys heavily involved, easy double stack to get to theoretically in terms of the concentration, if not the price points. But Cincinnati keeps going full go. Their total has moved down a little bit to 26 points, down from 26.5 on Friday, but still a good total here for Cincinnati. Against Tennessee defense, it's probably not that good. Jaden Daniels at number 4. You guys know the deal by now. I put him in my hand build on Friday. I'll play Jaden Daniels on any slate going against a tough matchup. Still play him against New Orleans. It's not a tough matchup, so we're willing to go there again. Jaden and Terry McLaurin, both going to be under 5% owned. That is always a stack you can get to get some low ownership if that's going to be the case. And Jaden Daniels, as I've mentioned enough times on here, which for whatever reason, it seems like the public hasn't caught up on. Last 2 times that he played games, he won the Millie Maker. So go back to Jaden Daniels a little bit this week, I think, is the move. Having a bye week, maybe Cliff Kingsbury does sniff his own farts too much over the bye week, starts doing some of the stuff that wasn't working as well. But before the bye, we saw a lot of breaking routes with Terry McLaurin, a lot better usage. Very concentrated targetry, potentially as well as Noah Brown out. So for Jaden Daniels at this spot, 7,500, I think there's still a ceiling game we haven't seen yet. We've seen him hit 30 fantasy points I think he can hit 40. I think he could hit 50 in the right game script. I'm not sure New Orleans is that. But for Jaden, I'm playing him again a little bit here at the very least, and probably in my highest dollar lineups as well. Kyler Murray looks really good according to ETR data. 6K salary for him. Match versus New England, maybe not one you expect. A ton of production going back. New England still projected for under 20 implied points, at least as of yesterday. They're now up to 20 flat. So Arizona 26 implied points, New England 20. Honestly, New England getting over 20, not a bad cosign from the markets in favor of them. If there is a push-pull dynamic here, if New England does play well with Drake May, you could see Kyler Murray have more of that upside. So Kyler 2 weeks ago targeted Marvin Harrison well, targeted McBride well. I don't mind going to that double stack this week. McBride honestly feels like this is the week to me where he can catch that touchdown finally as well. I think Kyler stacks work well this week. So that'd be one of my favorite QBs that's not Jaden Daniels and much less expensive than the top pay-up guys and Josh Allen and Lamar. Kyler going to put up an annoying 17. Look, I'm deeply invested in him in Best Ball Mania, so I'm hoping he does well, but certainly not shocking when he does pull a good game or a bad game out of the ass of a good game. James Conner, too, looks like a good play today based on some of the data out there. So that's the trade-off, too. If James Conner plays well, Kyler probably comes down a little bit. You need a game script where Drake May really does push things a little bit more. The issue for Drake May is like Hunter Henry's going to get played a good amount, projected for 14% ownership. Like Hunter Henry's going to get played, and I don't know that he's the play that hits for the Patriots. So I wouldn't prioritize bring back with Kyler Murray, but I do think Kyler Murray, if he's going to get there, probably has to have New England performing fairly well in the spot. Your top RBs, Chuba Hubbard, we talked about, 23.9 fantasy points. Saquon Barkley, 2.5x for him. Basically for Saquon here, we talked about it already. Value play, not that strong. Much stronger for Chuba Hubbard. As you can see, one of the best values we've had at RB based on this insane projection from Stokastic. But Saquon has his merits. Chuba Hubbard has a lot more merits. It's going to be played a lot more. Derrick Henry, projections are not going to push you there a lot. That said, I do think people will just like to click that number, like to click him, knowing that he's probably going to get you at least one touchdown this week. If he doesn't get you two, if he doesn't get you to like 32 to 35 fantasy points, he probably didn't do enough for you to win a tournament. So you need a really good game for Derrick Henry here. I don't think it's out of the question you get it, but it's also one of those things where you have enough guys that could score. You have ways they move away from Derrick Henry with Justice Hill. You have a passing offense that could use a little opportunity to get going, I think. Zay Flowers has had a quiet few weeks. Really think that, to me, there's a lot of ways Derrick Henry cannot get that true ceiling, but hard to see him not giving you 18, 20. I mean, I think it's hard to sort of disagree with that. Yeah. Can I turn off the fade Saquon slider? Yeah, the data itself, it turns out, is the fade Saquon slider. It's the softest spot Kyler's had in months. That's not true. He's played the Rams. Rams are still not a good defense on paper, despite what we saw on Thursday Night Football. Look, Kyler's had good spots. I don't know that I would agree with that, but it is on paper a good ones too. So sure, I'm not opposed to it. But again, you got to keep in mind, like James Conner game does directly hurt Kyler Murray game. Joe Mixon at 7,800 looked really bad in ETR's data last night. Like all of the lineups that were the lowest ROIs had Joe Mixon in it. I think the price tag doesn't work that well. That said, match versus Miami, one way to keep Miami off the field would be Joe Mixon getting a lot of carries, getting a lot of work here. He's getting anyway as it is. 25 intended touches a game, I believe. Yeah, 24.5 per game, 5.5 in the red zone, 2.7 inside the 10-yard line. Joe Mixon, one of the best volume backs in football. Match versus Miami. Tough run defense, relatively negative 0.07 EPA per rush. They missed tackles at a good clip, but Joe Mixon doesn't really force missed tackles, so I don't know if that helps him out. But a 20% missed tackle rate for Miami's defense. Yeah, I guess I don't mind Mixon. I just really, ETR was not giving me a lot of him last night when I was playing on the solver. Chase Brown, come down a little bit in projection to 20.2. Looks fairly good against Tennessee. Tennessee's pass defense, much worse than the run defense, though. Chase Brown seems to get there no matter what. Maybe a chip on his shoulder after getting fined, jumping in the Salvation Army bell. Who knows? But Chase Brown, a good play, just not as much of a smash play as he's been in other weeks where he was the obvious chalk. Price tags come up. Guys don't become as good of a play. Wide receivers, talked about Jamar Chase. Nico Collins, 8,100. Steep price tag for him. Theoretically, a game script. Miami should put up some points on the other side. Houston's defense is pretty competitive. Miami's defense is competitive in the run game. That does make me worry a little bit about the upside here. But if you are the Texans and you had a bye week and your offense has been kind of stagnating, pass rates creeping up a little bit for the team as the year goes on. They're now just barely under a positive pass rate over expectation for the year. Maybe Nico Collins gets going here. I don't mind him as a play. Was trying to actually find some lineups that worked with him last night. I don't mind Nico at 8,100. I feel like he'll be a little bit under owned, and I'm willing to go there a little bit more. AJ Brown, really more of a narrative play than a projection play at this point. I would say that for AJ Brown, like the complaining has worked for him in the past. The bitching, the being a diva has gotten him 10 targets last year in a similar situation. Does Kellen Moore do that the same way that did last year? Probably not. But I do think there's been enough whispers and innuendos about the Philadelphia pass game. They kind of have to go a little bit harder today to make it work. You compare it to the fact that like Pittsburgh's run defense is pretty tough. They should naturally have to pass a little bit more. So I get taking AJ Brown. AJ Brown versus Pittsburgh used to be more of a smash spot because Pittsburgh would play man defense, one of the highest rates in the league. They're not doing that this year. I don't know if it's the personnel or what. Because of that, though, AJ Brown, a good play. But I think really what happens here is I bet he gets a touchdown today. I think that'd be a reasonable bet to make. I don't know that he gives you a tournament winning ceiling, and I think that's sort of what people will be playing him for, obviously. Hurts narrative, he could pass a little bit more and have AJ Brown still not have a good day. So I think that's probably where we end up, is like they try harder to pass. I think AJ Brown gets fed a touchdown, but I don't think he has like a crazy day here. Could be wrong about that, but that's just my gut instinct here. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 17.5 fantasy points, not a great value metric at 7,600. And Cortland Sutton, 6,600, pretty good value. Indianapolis, a team where they don't give up a ton of big plays. They give up a lot of chunk plays. Guy like Cortland Sutton to help you move the sticks. So I get it. Maybe the one concern for him is that you have the week 14 bye for Denver, basically the bye week coming off. Have some rookies like Devon Vele, Troy Franklin. It's possible you try to get those guys more involved, scheme some more touches for them because of the post-bye rookie bump. That is normally a thing for a lot of players. I don't know how it works as well in week 14, but I would say for Cortland Sutton, that'd be my one risk for him. Feels like a very high projection for Cortland Sutton, but the work has been there. I think he's just shy of 10 targets a game right now. He's at 8.1, so a little bit lower than 10. But 8.1 targets a game for Cortland Sutton, 1.5 deep targets, 1.4 in the red zone. So Cortland Sutton's usage has been pretty good. Don't mind that. The price tag's coming up. Your top tight ends. Yeah, Ladd has fallen off the top 5, so not going to be as shocky. Thank God. Trey McBride here, 2.8x value. You got 16.9 fantasy. Better. Why would you possibly say that? Like, what would make you think that's a better matchup for Vele than Sutton? Vele is just like a short yardage merchant, doesn't do a whole lot. Sutton's getting great work. Like, I'm not saying like Sutton's one of my favorite plays of the week. It's an insane take to have, though. You can't just like say stuff. It's not how that works. Trey McBride. Hopefully you have a great case. Yet, I don't think that is going to matter for this matchup. Let's look at it. Just for Lee's sake. Maybe Lee has a brilliant point here. Okay, so Indianapolis gives up slot targets at a lower rate than average. They also give up targets out wide at a lower rate than average. They give up the most tight end targets. EPA-wise, they give up 0.2 EPA out wide, 0.3 EPA to the slot, 0.3 to tight end, 0.05 to running back. The matchup looks exactly the same no matter where you are. I think you're just saying something, but hey, play Devon Vele, knock yourself out. Trey McBride, your top projected tight end on the week, 16.9 fantasy points. He catches a touchdown. He's going to beat that projection pretty meaningfully. One thing to keep in mind because the projection is accounting for an utter lack of touchdowns. So that's how that goes. Travis Kelce, 14.8 fantasy points. Not the biggest Kelce fan lately. Think they have deliberately ramped him down a little bit. Noah Gray getting more work lately. Like, they don't need him quite as much. They have the receiving core looking a little bit more viable. So Travis Kelce at number 2. I can live with that, and to be honest. Shout out Ben. Happy holiday, Spags. Good luck at the B-ball playoffs. The B-ball playoffs. I hope the B-ball playoffs go well for me too. Oh, best ball. Like the basketball playoffs. I don't think I'm making any playoffs. Anyway, yeah, for Travis Kelce, not a play for me quite as much. I get it with the projection and the price tag at 5,700. David Njoku, questionable right now. If he doesn't go, Jordan Aiken's going to open up as a value play. I still prefer Stone Smart. I think he's a better targeted player. Caught 2 20-yard passes last time out when we did see some of the injuries start to rack up a tight end for the Chargers last week. So point being, Njoku, I get playing him. He's been mostly a touchdown hound, though, with Jameis Winston at QB, just not getting a ton of PPR points, mostly having good games when he's scoring a touchdown or two. That said, for Njoku, I get wanting to play him. Wouldn't be my priority if he were in, though. Jonnu Smith, 12.2 fantasy points. Hunter Henry, 12 fantasy points rounded up. Zach Ertz, shocked to see him over 10. I think absorbing some of that work Noah Brown leaves behind his logic there. And Sam Laporta, game script where there's a lot of points being scored theoretically. Laporta at 10 fantasy points, certainly a play. Can I cook a prize fix entry? No, I can't. That's also the one I'd be least likely to quote unquote cook up, given that I'm not an affiliate partner there. If you want to get prize picks, watch the NBA videos Monday to Friday. Do that for you there. Let's see. Another chats to note. Oh, is it a good matchup for Lil Jordan Humphrey? I didn't know that. It's screaming Lil Jordan Humphrey week based on the matchup. Defense is real fast here, even though we don't really care. Ravens D, number 1, 9.6 fantasy points. Chiefs D, 9.3. Jets at 8.3. You're probably going to get the Jets the most out of all these teams relative to the value metrics. Cardinals D going to come up a good amount. I know it's coming up a lot with ETR when I was playing with that last night. Bengals D, 2.3x value. Probably not playing them, but Will Levis certainly could give a good enough game to the Bengals. As a defense, that's probably a little bit overpriced, but still playable. And your top values overall on the slate real fast. It will hop over to the ownership. Of course, you want access to all this data for yourself. Click the link in the description, 15% off at Stokastic. And that's in perpetuity as well for all their data, all their tools, the lineup generator, the cheaper stuff as well. It's all 15% off. So check it out if you want to see the same data I'm using on screen and build better lineups, including that prize picks guy. Build a prize picks with them with their data instead of asking YouTubers to do it. We got Chuba Hubbard, a 3.7x value. Justin Herbert, 3.4x value at 5,900. Decent play versus Tampa Bay's defense. If you have Ladin, Quentin Johnson, I think work well. Quentin Johnson and Stone Smart as leverage against Ladin works well. Whatever stacks you want to make with Herbert, I think are viable against Tampa Bay. And that game too, I think sneaky shootout potential a little bit there. Not a lot of ownership for that game, but Chargers defense is tough. But Baker's been good against every possible defense. So that one could be feisty. I don't mind kind of game stacking Justin Herbert today. I'm not like in love with Herbert in general. As you guys know, if you watch these videos throughout the year and the offseason, but 5,900 for him, getting Ladd back is a positive, and Quentin Johnson scoring a touchdown versus a zone heavy team seems like a decent probability, especially if you watch Friday's video and explained why. Kyler Murray at number 3, good value for him at 6K. So 2 good QB values up top. Another one in Will Levis, if you want to go that way. Tennessee's gonna get a lot of opportunity against Cincinnati's awful pass defense. Certainly game script as well. You would expect me playing from behind, Levis having to throw more. That said, for Will Levis, Ridley's going to be played with him if you do stack him up. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's any real upside to taking a Will Levis stack, but yeah, you could do it. Drake May. It's a really high projection for Drake May at 18.2 fantasy points. He's running fairly well. The tough part for Drake May, kind of like Josh Allen at his price point, I just don't know who you stack him with. You could go with Pop Douglas. You go with Hunter Henry. You could go with Kayshon Boutte for the millionth time and see if that works. Nothing really looks that good, though, with Drake May. So I don't mind him as a play conceptually. I just think if you're going to play him, you're going to probably end up with the wrong pass catcher 5 times out of 10 at the very least. Those are your top values. Let's go to ownership. Let's see what we have over there. All right, loading up. Updated 8 hours ago. We'll see what we get here. And guys, if you're tuning in, you get value out of this video, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. We're now on that slow crawl to 5K subs on here, trying to hit our first 500 in the @SplashPlay NBA channel as well. So check that out too. If you want to get some NBA data, similar process to what I do here. This is what I do for gambling, basically. That's why people ask me to do stuff that I don't do, like pick'ems for prize picks. FanDuel, I don't gamble that. I don't show you that because it's not really what I'm doing. What I do here is show you the exact same process I would do for myself, or pretty similar, probably more talking than I would do if I were alone in a room looking at data. But that's the thing here we do every day, Monday to Friday, 11 a.m., Sundays at 9 a.m., and of course on the NBA channel @SplashPlay NBA, 4 p.m. every day on Monday to Friday. All right, your top owned players. Chuba Hubbard, up to 53%. They decided that they can't keep the projection and the ownership where they were. On Friday was like, this ownership feels light for this projection being so high after I got him on 100% of Sims. They did not, in fact, move his projection down too much, Chuba Hubbard. They kept it basically where it is, and he's now being owned out the ass. So Chuba Hubbard, I think a good play. There is a point of diminishing returns for this. You have Rico Dowdle, who's going to be, honestly, Rico Dowdle's still pretty decently owned. I think a good amount of people are going to play Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dowdle today. So it's really tempting at their price points to play both guys. Theoretically, in a situation like this where you have the really highly owned RB from the same game, going to the opposing RB from the same game would be a move to get lower ownership. You are theoretically doing that here, but they both are pretty nicely priced for the situations they're in. So no, I don't hate Chuba. No, I don't want 100% Chuba. That's sort of the main thing I feel about it here. But projection-wise, if you're just going to play the math here like you should normally do, Chuba looks like one of the best plays we've had in DFS this entire year. So that's the trade-off of Chuba Hubbard. It's pretty tough to see. I don't think I said Did I say bonership? I think I probably merged words together. I sincerely doubt that I actually said bonership. How dare you? Let's see. There's like 10 chats. I assume that somebody said something useful, and apparently not. People not scared of Judy's potential weather. Lee's worrying about all the stuff at once. I wouldn't worry about that either. I get you maybe saw the rain game on Thursday. You're like, oh, these guys can't. I wouldn't sweat that. Jameis has thrown for at least 400 air yards and worse weather than whatever he'll face today. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. Jameis also, some QBs, I mean, most QBs can cut through the wind, can cut through weather. I certainly, there's not enough ownership on Cleveland to like fade a guy for weather is what I would say. James Conner, 23% ownership. Oh, okay, I did say it. Good. I thought you were both saying it because I said it. And I'm like, I don't think it's possible. I would have said bonership. Expect this type of language. Yeah, that's where I talked dirty on the NBA show to scare off all the parents of 3-year-olds. That was the NFL show last week, right? It all blurs together. Weather in Miami is windy. Oh, watch out for Miami weather too. James Conner, 23% ownership. That's a lot for James Conner. Kind of surprised to see it be that high. Very possible here. Again, this adds more credence too, though much like the Chuba Hubbard Rico Dowdle thing. Trey McBride, very appropriately owned at 20%. So you're not really getting leverage trying to target a Trey McBride touchdown instead of a James Conner one. I think pass game stacks for Arizona look appealing here when you see this much James Conner ownership going to Kyler Murray with Marvin Harrison. I know it makes people feel uncomfortable, but he's under 6K now. He catches a touchdown every other week. He's due this week based on that sort of numerology. But for James Conner, when you see him being projected this highly, and really the same thing for Carolina versus Dallas and Dallas versus Carolina, these RBs are so chalky. Chase Brown too, playing the stacks that go alongside them, either with those guys or in lieu of those guys, where you just hope the pass game scores touchdowns instead of the RBs. Pretty reasonable approach when you have this much concentrated ownership on four RBs up top. So your Carolina stack should be more appealing. Your Arizona passing stacks, your Dallas passing stacks, that one I feel the least good about. But CeeDee Lamb as a lever against Rico Dowdle, I think makes sense. And Jake Ferguson to a lesser extent. Chase Brown going to Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase will be appropriately owned, but there's sort of a way to try to maneuver around the RB ownership is what I'll say. If you don't want to play one of these guys, try to think about the pass game stacks a little bit more. Trey McBride, your chalk tight end at 20%. I guess it's like the Brock Bowers play last week where it projects so well that you're going to get Trey McBride a good amount for people overall. It's a lot of Trey McBride. I like McBride a lot, but it's a lot of ownership for Trey McBride. You can pay down at tight end this week too. If he doesn't score a touchdown, those people are going to be fucked. That's what I would say. Cortland Sutton, 16% ownership for him. Jamar Chase, 15. Jerry Jeudy, 15. So decent amount of ownership for Jerry Jeudy. Tillman's out for that game again as well, so that does help Jerry Jeudy's outlook a little bit. If Njoku's out too, Jeudy kind of has to get targets no matter what. So I certainly would not fade Jeudy because of the weather or anything, but if you want to, follow your hearts. The Cleveland total, I don't think it's moved at all, has it? Now, Cleveland total did move down about a half point, down to 18.3. So maybe some legit weather concerns. Lee, I'll give him for that. I don't agree with it's a Devon Valley matchup take, but I think the weather one might be a valid one. Down a half point. Yeah, you're right, Lee. I'll give you credit. You're shooting, honestly, 50% from the field for Lee today. He's doing all right. Lad McConkey, 14%. Stone Smart, 15. Calvin Ridley, 14. Where's Brenton Strange at? Brenton Strange at 8%. Deadman's salary. Evan Ingram's had a pretty good role. I think that Strange and Smart, the two pay down options at tight end that I find the most appealing. Normally going over the top with a Trey McBride when you have Stone Smart picking up ownership, you have Brenton Strange, like you have potentially Jordan Akins. If Njoku's out picking up ownership, coming over the top would be appealing, but there's so much ownership for Trey McBride that you're not really getting that value out of it. So I kind of am leaning more value tight ends. Like I think Stone Smart looks pretty good. Stone Smart was also practicing with Justin Herbert apparently all offseason, going to travel wherever Herbert needed him. So that's one thing that apparently shines well, upon Stone Smart based on what the team was talking about in their previews. I think a Marv Kyler stack's pretty appealing, to be honest. They're buddies as well. I like the cheap tight ends, but yeah, playing the chalk Trey McBride would be your leverage. I mean, look, I will say for as much as I don't like Travis Kelce in general in any format this year, He's going to be 7% owned. And if the weather does suck, Kelsey targets get a little bit easier to hit. Not the Mahomes, I would think, would suffer with the weather either, but that's how it looks. No Kelsey live today. I mean, I don't know what we're saying. Like, is he doing a live stream? I don't know about that. But he's live as a play. He's going to be 7% owned, and Trey McBride's going to be 20. Marvin Harrison projected for 10% ownership, so you are getting a lot less ownership going his way than Trey McBride. Low-owned guys, Garrett Wilson, I think, in a good spot facing Jacksonville. The double stack for AR, Aaron Rodgers, the original AR hitting one more time would not be the craziest thing in the world. Alvin Kamara, you got a guy in Jake Haener who can stand in the pocket, deliver the ball fairly well. I think that Kamara, 7% ownership looks pretty good for him, even though it has not been a good situation, even with Taysom Hill out. Juwan Johnson, another cheap tight end who's been getting better work because they have no real pass catchers left for New Orleans. Just highlighting some random guys. Ramondre, I think, if Arizona's going to be chalky in a bunch of different spots, going Ramondre's way, fading Drake May, maybe going to Ramondre and Drake May and trying to capture some rushing touchdowns and what the one passing touchdown that Drake May throws could be an interesting approach to get leverage on the Arizona stuff. A.J. Brown under 5% owned. I think narrative will drive him closer to 10. That said, I get the logic in playing it. Projection-wise, it doesn't look that good. And as I mentioned, the Pittsburgh matchup for him is not as good as it would have been in previous years where it'd be so man-dominant. That's not the case for them this year. Terry McLaurin under 5%. Jaden Daniels under 5%. You know how I feel about that. Rashad White with Bucky Irving in, probably have a hard time going there, but if Bucky gets in and then gets hurt again or gets his back tightens up was what hurt him last week or kept him out last week, Rashad White at 4% ownership could be something. Devon Valley in the matchup that's made for him, only 4% ownership. Lee gave me good content for Devon Valley this week, and I am very thankful for Lee for that. David Montgomery, love a power back in a high-scoring matchup against a defense that's good on paper. David Montgomery scoring 2 touchdowns today would not be shocking. I would bet it, and honestly probably should have put it in my fantasy points prop column. David Montgomery here, that's low ownership for David Montgomery. Xavier Leggett, people are going to play Adam Thielen more than they should. The matchup's a little bit softer out wide going against Dallas. It was something I was looking at last night. Dallas playing the slot, only a 40% target rate to the slot, which is one of the lowest marks in the league. 0.2 EPA, which is dead average. As opposed to out wide, they're giving up a 34% target rate, which is one of the highest marks in the league. They're giving up a 0.3 EPA there. So Leggett, David Moore, I think a little bit more live than they would be because of the fact people are going to play Thielen and that game script as well for Dallas, Carolina. Like people are going to be playing Rico Dowdle, people are going to be playing Chuba. Pass games get underplayed. Leggett after he dropped the touchdown last week. I like Leggett as a bounce back here at 4,700. Hard to play him a ton, though. Waddle, honestly, never really a play for me. But if you feel like you want to play him, go for it. It's not a great total for Miami going against Houston. I will say that. Both Detroit RBs are a smash. Never big on Gibbs. It's like the price tag for him. It's like he and Montgomery should kind of be priced the same. Like this week, where's Gibbs at? Gibbs 5% owned at 7,500. I mean, it's getting closer. 7K, 7,500 is about as close as it's been. I would still go Montgomery for the savings in ownership and in price tag. But yeah, like they're both equally valid plays. I'm not going to critique you for it. Lamar Jackson, 3% owned. Mahomes, 3% owned. Jameis does push things a little bit better. Nothing else really to note here. Cooper Rush, if you were to go to that Dallas stack, I'm not saying you should, but 2% ownership for him. A lot of guys in the slate. Every team's playing. There's no buys. So besides the doubleheader on Monday Night Football and our Sunday night game, you got everybody going. Let's go to the solver next to see what we get. Tank Bigsby against the Jets D. I don't think you're guaranteed enough work there to feel good about it. And also Jacksonville's bad enough that I wouldn't feel particularly confident. Mac Jones also dropping back at an insane amount of times. I think the Jets have more success than not here, but that's, you can go to Tank. I don't think it's a bad play for the record, but not crazy about Tank. All right. Dimey Brown, not in play. I would not play anybody besides McLaurin or Ertz from Washington. And Brian Robinson, obviously. Njoku, not out yet, but we'll see. You'll know by like 11:30 or so. Is Tyler Conklin out? I mean, that would make the receiving core look a little bit better versus Jacksonville. You're probably going to get more Jeremy Ruckert, I assume, out of that. They've been wanting to play him all year, but I wouldn't care that much about it, to be honest. All right. Your top lineups right now. Let's turn off the variance. Let's build 25 lineups here. Let me take off my settings. I I was going aggressive in building on the solver last night. Watched the video that ETR had as well. Their guy who does college football projections, who advanced, and I don't know, he won some tournament, did a video talking about how he used the solver. I thought it was fairly insightful. So I was playing around with some hand builds and stuff yesterday. All right, so your top lineup right now, if you're to play a cash game using ETR's data at 9:33 a.m. on the East Coast, this would be it. Justin Herbert, Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins both make the cash game lineup. That seems impossible. Adam Thielen, Dalton Schultz, Stone Smart, Ravens. Cade Stover had an emergency appendectomy. It's hitting everybody. It's hitting him and Marshawn Lloyd the same year. Watch your appendices, guys. It's important. I am shocked to see these are really high projections from Cincinnati. 22.5 for Jamar Chase, 18.3 for Higgins, 20.1 for Chase Brown. I don't love it. Yeah, it's a lot of correlation for a cash game lineup, which I would not be crazy about. So in your top 25 lineups, you're getting Ravens D with ETR projections and Chuba Hubbard in all of them. You're getting T. Higgins, Jamar Chase in all but one. That is so much T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. I'm perplexed. I get Chase, whatever. Your stacks are getting the most, so half these lineups have just Chase and Higgins. 40% of the lineups have Chase, Brown, and Higgins. So you're getting Bengals just out the ass is really the main thing here. Let's put on my stack settings, really just boosts to the receivers, and let's put 3 uniques in here. Let's build 250 lineups. Get variants on 2. And we'll see what the ETR sims have as the best plays right now. Of course, we'll hop to Stokastic after this and look at every QB's top stacks and top lineups for the week. But this one, we'll see what we have the top for ETR and the solver. And of course, the solver, half optimizer, half sim. Check it out for yourself. Link description for them. They don't offer discounts, so it's a downside. But if you do click the link down below, you'll get access, and you also support the show directly, which is all I can ask. So please do that. Support the show with the solver link. Stokastic, 15% off, link description as well. And unabated, if you want to build those pick'ems cards, I don't do them on Sundays, but you can do it for yourself on Prize Picks, on Underdog. Also, the top betting markets out there, really all the betting markets in the world. Using Unabated's data, so $30 off for Unabated. Promo code SPLASH, all of which supports the show directly and make me smile. And that's what we're looking for. And you want to build a pick'em on Underdog, do that too. $1,000 of bonus cash on Underdog, promo code SPLASH. Link in the description for that too. All right, building our lineups here. Checking the chats. Bengals out the ass is worse than an appendectomy, sure. Cincy spot isn't even that good. I mean, the thing is, like, they just keep dropping back in every situation. So, like, I get the logic and wanting to keep chasing Cincinnati. It's just, like, at a certain point, I think the rubber does meet the road. Like, they're not playing for the playoffs, really. Like, I said this for about a month now, and, like, granted, the last 3 weeks in particular is when they really have no shot to make the playoffs. But it's like they're winning. They're trying to set records for Jamar Chase for no particular fucking reason. I don't know about all that. Hey, you're you had an appendectomy? Sorry to hear that. Doesn't sound fun. Appendectomies sound like one of the scarier things. It's like your appendix just explodes, right? Like you feel like a stabbing pain, I believe is how that goes. Obviously, somebody who had an appendectomy can tell me. All these Bengals pop him, but no Titans. I mean, Ridley's going to be fairly popular, I think. But yeah, he's not coming up naturally here. Ridley did not make it. And it looks like this is actually I can't look at the other set right now. Let's see. Did Ridley make it in the top 25 with no boosts? Ridley made it in 4% of the lineups with no boost given. So Ridley came up a little bit, but yeah. Anytime you get the natural stack like that, where you're getting the team coming up in cash game lineups, I tend to not want to play them, but your mileage may vary. Bengals, based on that, I would consider fading the Bengals, honestly. Like, if you're naturally getting a double stack in 100% of the top 25 lineups, ETR people will play way too many Bengals today is really the main thing. Let's simulate these 250 lineups, though, and see what we get. We don't have an exact comp for the Millie Maker, so we'll take the biggest 150 max tournament they have, which is a slant, and we'll see what the top ROI lineups are according to ETR's data. If you like Mike Leone, and I do, and you're going to want to see what this says coming up. And Adam Levitan, too. You're without an appendix. All you guys are lacking appendices. I didn't know this was like I didn't know there was an appendix epidemic going through the country. All right, your top lineup right now, according to ETR data, a Jameis Winston double stack. So if you're afraid of the weather, avoid that. Jameis with Brian Robinson Jr., James Conner, Jamar Chase. We're not getting the full Bengals Monty there. You're getting Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, Dalton Schultz, Trey McBride, Cowboys D. Appendemic. That's clever. That's clever. We got Kyler Murray with Chase. A lot of Kyler Murray lineups up top. You're not being sneaky, I don't think, playing Kyler Murray with ETR data. Kyler Murray, Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, T. Higgins, DeAndre Hopkins, Elijah Moore, Dalton Schultz, Trey McBride, Raven. So single stack for Kyler with Trey McBride. It feels a little doopy, but sure. Number 3, another Kyler lineup. You're getting Kyler, Derrick Henry, Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, Diami Brown. Diami Brown coming up here. I don't think he's a great play. He's going to be 9% owned. I wouldn't trust that, to be honest. Marvin Harrison Jr., Jordan Akins, seems like they are accounting for Njoku being out in their projections right now. Trey McBride, Panthers D is your number 3 ROI lineup. Number 4, another spin at Arizona, New England, but on the New England side, you're getting Drake May, Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, Brian Thomas Jr., Jameson Williams, Demario Douglas, a.k.a. Pop to his friends, Hunter Henry, James Conner, Ravens D. Your number 5 lineup is Kyler Murray again. So 3 out of the top 5 lineups are Kyler Murray. Kyler with Chase Brown, James Conner, Jamar Chase, Harrison Jr. Keyshawn Butte is a bring back. Stone Smart, 25% ownership, chalkier on ETR's data, and Trey McBride. So you're getting a Cardinals triple with a booty bring back and Ravens D along with it. Other lineups to note here, Will Levis stack. Will Levis stacked up with Ridley, Chuba Hubbard, Chase Brown, Devontae Adams. Really good matchup against Jacksonville. Have to keep saying that. Even though we don't like the Jets, total's not that great. Jacksonville's defense is not very good, and Aaron Rodgers seems determined to pass until he dies. So Aaron Rodgers passing to Devontae Adams, sure. Adam Thielen, Calvin Ridley, Stone Smart, James Conner, Ravens D. It's a Will Levis lineup. A Burrow lineup here, which got to be creative if you're going to play it. Burrow, Rico Dowdle, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Calvin Ridley, Dalton Schultz, Bretton Strange, Giants. My sweet boy Jaden here. Jaden with Rico, Robinson. There's no way this all can hit. There's like I can tell you as somebody that watches every Commanders game way too intently. You get a double stack with Jaden and an RB. A triple stack with Jaden and an RB is impossible. But Rico, Brian Robinson Jr., Devontae Adams, McLaurin, Diami Brown, Ertz, Trey McBride, Cardinals. I also just don't buy Diami Brown getting this big leap forward. He didn't get one earlier in the year when Dotson got cut. I don't know why you get one now when like you could use McCaffrey more. KJ Osborne, I don't know if he's going to be active this week, but at some point he will be taking snaps away, taking routes away. It's not crazy about Diami Brown. Skipped over these lineups before. Bryce Young. You got Bryce Young with Chase Brown, Rico Dowdle, fading Chuba Hubbard just going to the pass game here. Jerry Jeudy, Zay Flowers, Adam Thielen, Trey McBride, Amari Cooper, Dolphins D. Here's a Herbert lineup. You got Herbert and Derrick Henry. I will say Derrick Henry coming up in ETR more than I would have thought based off the projections. Chuba Hubbard, Adam Thielen. So trying to get the pass game right on there. It really wouldn't shock me if Thielen's the thing that kills a lot of lineups this week, to be honest. Elijah Moore, Lad McConkey, Trey McBride, Stone Smart, Ravens D. You're getting a lot of Trey McBride and Stone Smart too. Your most negative ROI lineups here. So that's another important observation that I probably haven't been doing enough on stream. So down here, you're seeing good amount of Chuba and Rico Dowdle together. Bryce Young stacks with both RBs seem to not be a good move. A Tua stack with Waddle not being well received here, even with the Mixon and Collins correlation. Levis stacked up with Pollard and Okonkwo. Seems like they want you to go Levis with Ridley if you're going to do that. Stroud with Mixon, Collins, and Schultz. Overstacked Houston, not looking that good for this lineup either. Your highest ROI, guys, according to ETR's data. Oh my God, they're scrolling in parallel. Just go all the way down. There we go. Okay. Highest ROI plays right now, Giants D, which barely gets played. Bo Nix, Cowboys D. McLaurin, 72% ROI despite only 1% exposure. That's what I'll be trying. Michael Woods, very high ROI from that Browns game. Jameis, very high ROI, and his 6% of lineups coming up. I mean, Giants D, I presume it's because they're super cheap and Lamar could turn it over and nobody's going to play him. Would sort of be the logic, but I'm not stoked by it. Can I send the winning lineup? I think I showed you all of them, right? You just grab one off the screen. Second week in a row with the highest projected total of the game of the week, not showing much ownership. Goff and Brown stacks, interesting. Yeah, you're not getting a lot. I mean, you have to pay a really steep price tag for it, I think is the main issue. We're looking for a Goff team here. Let's see what we can get. Goff. Oh, also no appendix. Family, man. Hope your family did okay throughout your loss of an appendix. Giants, he looked decent last week. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's going to hold up against the Ravens, but sure. Jared Goff, Chase Brown, Brian Robinson Jr., Devontae Adams, Diami Brown, Jameson Williams, Trey McBride, Sam Laporta, Ravens. So you're not even getting a Bills bring back on this. You're getting kind of a weak Detroit double. Yeah, the Goff lineups don't look that good. You're not really getting Goff and Amon-Ra. Yeah, all the positive ROI lineups do not include Amon-Ra. This one's got Goff, Amon-Ra, J-Mo, Laporta. You're getting the triple here. I tend to think it's a really high total game. I do tend to think that Buffalo-Detroit does play down a little bit, but I think people are going to chase it like the Rams game last week. The Rams are a uniquely bad defense, even though on Thursday night they didn't look it. Like Buffalo, good defense. Detroit, very good defense. That'd sort of be my feeling about it. Goff, Chase Brown, Connor, Higgins, Amon-Ra, J-Mo, Strange, Laporta. We got to go to the Stokastic Sims next. Spending too much time on ETR. Let's go over here next. And we might not grab every QB for this next part of things. I spent way too much time looking at ETR today. But great data on ETR. Of course, great data on Stokastic too. We'll see what we get. Simming 10,000 lineups and having them compete 10,000 times here on Stokastic as well. And of course, make sure to check out the solver. Link in the description. Stokastic, same thing here. Two of the best products in the space. Third one that I don't have access to because I don't have an affiliate deal with them. Saber Sims, another good one if you want to check that out. Those are the big three, I would say, that you want to keep an eye on here if you are doing any lineups in general. Even if you're just building one, I think you're probably doing yourself a disservice without a Sims tool, to be honest. Hi. Explain why you feel bad about Thielen. Need advice because he's in my lineup left. Jennings hurt me. Basically, not a great slot matchup. That Cowboys have been better defending a slot. They have been defending out wide. Thielen, too, mostly for DFS. For your fantasy team, it's probably fine to play. For DFS, he's going to be a little bit overowned because he's been playing a little bit out of his mind lately relative to the expectations, compared to what he should be scoring. He's not getting a ton of targets, not getting a ton of end zone targets. He just looks okay in the prism, scoring a couple touchdowns recently. So for Thielen, that's my concern. But for season long, I don't know. You got to play. You got to play. But yeah, for Thielen, it's just not as good of a matchup as it seems. People are going to chase. It's sort of the main thing. All right, let's simulate these lineups here. Let's go 35% to first. All right, there we go. I'm taking a sip of water here. Holla if you hydrate. Shout out to all you 270 people watching, though. This is probably the most I think we've had on a Sunday, which is crazy to see in week 15 of the year, but I appreciate you guys being here. Again, show some love if you can. If you get value out of this video, please subscribe down below with the like button, leave a comment. Your engagements go a long way for you. There's one guy running two different channels for the NFL and NBA, doing the best I can to show you the data, the best tools out there. So please hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment if you're watching after the fact too. And check out our sponsors. Again, Stokastic, 15% off. Link in the description. Unabated, underdog rather, and unabated. Underdog, $1,000 in bonus cash. Unabated, $30 off. And the solver, link in the description for that. Shout out all you guys hanging out, though. It's nice to see, one of the things in the DFS industry is that typically as the year goes on, people watch your shows less, people buy your products less or whatever. Hasn't been the case here. So thank you guys for helping me feel like I'm doing the right thing down the home stretch. It's a lot of work. This time of year, if you're a fantasy football person, I know nobody wants to hear this, but if you're doing this content, especially like we do here, where I do streams every day from January through now, burnout starts to hit a little bit. So your guys' love, your guys showing up here and watching the video, I do appreciate it a bunch, really. Helps me keep going, stay motivated, stay hungry. Obviously, the DFS part does too. Nice to hand with you post-coitus. Thank you for that. One of Gibbs or Monty in every lineup? I wouldn't say so, no. I think that's an okay play to have in some lineups, but it's not like a sure thing. And thank you for that, Keith Vape. I appreciate it. Appreciate you being here bright and early too. Keith Vape first got a chat this morning, and thank you for that. Boom Kakanaka. Thank you for that. All right, your top ROI lineups according to Stokastic. Even I can't pronounce your chat name. I appreciate the chats all the same. Justin Herbert, Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, Malik Neighbors, Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr., Stone Smart, Breece Hall, and Chargers. So a double stack, Ladd McConkey, top ROI lineups for that one. Can I drop a link to my NBA channel? I sure can. Let me see if I can grab it real fast. Yeah, at Splash Play NBA if you want to search it yourself, but it's linked in the chat right now. And thank you for asking, Extra QT. That's extra cute of you to ask that. Number 2 is Will Levis, Chuba Hubbard, Breece Hall. Breece Hall in the top 2. I got to tell you, man, I would have a hard time trusting Breece Hall coming off injury. They still want to keep seeing Braylon Allen, still want to keep seeing Isaiah Davis. I am not buying that, but I guess that's why you get him in a sim here. Chuba Hubbard, Breece Hall with Will Levis, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Calvin Ridley single stack with Hunter Henry, Rico Dowdle, and Jets. Not a bad lineup. I am baffled by the Breece Hall. Number 3 has Breece Hall again. Drake May, Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, Nico Collins, Adam Thielen, Kayshon Boutte, Hunter Henry, Breece Hall, and Jets D. Ooh, lordy. Number 4 has Kyler Murray, Chuba Hubbard, Breece Hall again, Nico Collins, Marvin Harrison Jr., Elijah Moore, Trey McBride, Hunter Henry, and Browns D. And number 5 is Kyler Murray. So Breece Hall made it in every single top 5 lineup. Like he's as good of a chalk play as Chuba Hubbard. That is insane. Kyler Murray, Breece Hall, Chuba Hubbard, T. Higgins, Cortland Sutton, Harrison Jr., Stone Smart, Connor, and Jets. So you're getting a lot of Cardinal stuff. You're getting a lot of Chuba, and you're getting a lot of Breece Hall. More Hunter Henry than I would have thought. Stone Smart, sure. Guess Breece Hall. Yeah, Breece Hall's probably going to be the top 10. And thank you for that, Steven. I appreciate you saying that. Steven's a regular. You don't have to say the nice things, but I'll take it. All right, let's pick our top 150 here. I cannot believe that. Breece Hall, that's such a curveball. It's such classic sim shit. Cooper or Thielen? I'd probably still go Thielen for that. Player ROIs. You're getting Keon Coleman in. I don't think that helps out Cooper too much, but higher total. You could play. Honestly, you could play whichever, but I think I'd probably go Thielen. All right, so Breece Hall, highest ROI here, 52% ROI for Breece Hall. He is down in price at 6,400. These are the times to play Breece Hall when nobody's going to play him. Like I've talked about when he was super chalk a couple weeks in the season. It's like he doesn't get enough work in the red zone. This is before everything went to shit for the Jets. But like now, I get the logic of playing Breece Hall when there's nobody there and still a decent projection on him. But man, like the last 2 weeks have shown like they just want to try some other guys. It is super cheap. I get it. I get what the Sim's giving him to you, but it's tough to like if you're going to load up on Breece Hall. Browns D getting 19% ROI on them. Stone Smart getting a lot of ownership, but still getting 10% positive ROI on him. So he does look like a good value play no matter what. And frankly, should be your cash game tight end, I think, no matter what as well. Probably he and McBride in a cash game. Justin Herbert, 8% ROI. Rico Dowdle, 4%. Lad McConkey, 3%. And Chuba Hubbard, despite probably being in every lineup, only a negative 2% ROI. In terms of stack ROIs, there are the only one positive QB plus 1 stack. That's Justin Herbert. So Herbert with Lad McConkey, Herbert with Quentin Johnston, Herbert with Stone Smart. Herbert with Stone Smart, I don't think you probably want to do. The other ones can work. Your QB plus 2 stacks, you're getting Justin Herbert again, the highest ROI guy. Mac Jones at number 2, 15% ROI for a Mac Jones double. Decent price tag on Brian Thomas Jr. Brenton Strange is minimum salary. You could also go one of the RBs theoretically, but if I had to guess, Brian Thomas Jr. and Brenton Strange should be the most appealing stack. Drake May, 5% ROI for him in a QB plus 2 stack. Kyler, 4% ROI in a QB plus 2. And Bryce Young rounds out our positive ROI QBs in QB plus 2 stacks at 0.1%. Barely positive there. Justin Herbert, 16% for him in terms of the ROI for QB plus 3 stacks. Lamar Jackson triples, 15%. Tell you what, if you play Lamar, Derrick Henry, and if Zay Flowers somehow hits or Mark Andrews catches a touchdown and beats out enough tight ends, that could be interesting. That's still only a double, though. The triple would be tough. You'd have to throw Bateman in there, I guess. Probably can't play Henry in a triple, I would think. Bryce Young, a 13% ROI in his QB triple stacks. Kyler, 12% ROI in QB triples. Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow, both the same 10% ROI in QB triple stacks. And Drake May, a 4% ROI in QB triple stacks. So these should be your kind of core plays if you're going off the Stokastic projection data. Shout out to Jay for the super chat here. Do we correlate our lineups with our best ball bags? I think I have to with Lad. I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, I am going to do it to some amount because they're the players I like the most at every format. So like My two guys, not going to surprise you to hear if you follow the best ball streams, Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin are going to be my big stands this week. They're the guys I advance the most, thankfully. So that's the thing that's going to live or die for me. But I still think they're good DFS plays this week because they're not super chalky and all that. Chase Brown's the one I'm relying on. I'm not really tying the things together one way or another. I'm not trying to hedge against it. It's really hard to hedge against your best ball lineups, especially in week 15. So I wouldn't worry about it, but follow your heart. Whatever's going to make you happier, you can do it. And when I run Tyreek as a one-off, he had good usage last week. I'm still not sold. You still have the same guy of last year, so I kind of don't want to be there. And after he finally had a good game, you could do it though. I'm not going to be mad at it. Thank you. I hope you all ship and then send large super chats. Let's see. Lions and Bills, high score game, not coming up much price issues. Yes, that'd be my guess here. All right, your top players overall in terms of exposure. So Chuba Hubbard, not in 100% of the top 150 now, only 71%. But despite him being 50% owned, they still want to get more. The Sims, Stokastic Sims, clearly feel like Chuba Hubbard, a great sim play no matter what. Rico Dowdle, 2x the field on him as well, 47% compared to 22. Again, I think a lot of lineups today will play Chuba and Rico. I don't think it's a bad play, but like they could certainly both get beaten out by other plays at RB. So just one thing to keep in mind if you're going to load up on Chuba and Rico together. It's not sneaky. It's not really clever. It's okay. It's just not, you're not doing anything clever. It's important to say. Stone Smart, 37% exposure in the top 150 compared to 15. So you're getting more than double there. Breece Hall, 34% compared to 2. So they're giving you, that's insane. That's so much Breece Hall. They're giving you 33 times the amount of Breece Hall. Look, I will say when we see this here, play a little bit of Breece Hall, I think is a pretty logical thing to do. Don't play 34% Breece Hall. That's too much. But Breece Hall, that's crazy. That's so much Breece. Trey McBride, 33% compared to 20. All you can do is laugh when it's like, where the fuck is this coming from? But Breece Hall is there. Trey McBride, 33 compared to 20. So positive ROI despite being chalky at tight end. And James Conner, 33% compared to 25. So a little bit in favor of him, but not crazy. Let's see. I do enjoy olives. I think olives are pretty good. They're fattier than they seem, so you can't go nuts on them. But yeah, they're good. Your highest leverage plays are Breece Hall. Again, 32% more than the field here at his 2% ownership. Rico Dowdle, 20% more, 24% more than the field. Stone Smart, 21% more than the field. So again, looking like good chalk based on this data. Chuba Hubbard, 20% more than the field, despite being super chalk. Chase, 15%. Browns, 14%. Can you play Chuba and Thielen together? Sure. No issue with that. Yeah, I really, no matter what the situation is, there's fine. I don't really have an issue with it. Again, not crazy about Thielen overall on the slate, but he's fine. Derrick Henry, getting less of the field of him, and they have him, I think, under projected in terms of ownership. As I mentioned, I think Derrick Henry doesn't quite get to Saquon levels of people ignoring projections, but I think Derrick Henry gets in like 15 to 25% of lineups here. I would say probably closer to 25 is how I view it, but they think he's an overowned play at 14%, so keep that in mind. Olives for breakfast. What are you, Greek? It's insane. Derrick Henry, and I love olives, but come on. 1% of Ravens D compared to 9%. So this is another slate, which has been happening more lately where ETR and Stokastic just don't see eye to eye. ETR, like Chuba Hubbard, doesn't think he's like the must-have play of all must-have plays. ETR loves Ravens D, and Stokastic is like, no. And ETR Sims love Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, not for Stokastic. Chuba Hubbard, yes for Stokastic. Ravens D, not for Stokastic. So a little bit interesting to see. Saquon, 1%, less than that compared to the field's 9. So they're fading Saquon and Derrick Henry in these sims. I think the price tags are tough. I get that. Joe Mixon, 5% compared to 12. So still a tough price tag at 7,800. Not really. I think it's more of a stand against these price tags. Like Kamara, they're low on as well here. You can see it's 7,700. I think they're just saying don't play the expensive backs. Look at this is so much. Gibbs here too. Yeah, the sims are fading Henry, Barkley, Kamara, Mixon, and Gibbs. Huh. All right. I'm gonna go QB by QB here. If you have requests given to me, because I don't really want to do every QB on the slate, but let's try to get them out here because reading them all in a row, I feel like fatigues everybody, me included. But let's see what we can do here. I do want to see Jaden Daniels teams. Let's look at Jaden. QB too. All right. Your top Jaden lineups. You got Jaden Daniels, Chuba Hubbard, Breece Hall. The Breece Hall party crashing here. He's in everywhere. He's in Wedding Crashers, just throwing every lineup is a busty gal, and he's throwing them down. Jaden Daniels, Chuba Hubbard, Brees Hall, Terry McLaurin, Malik Neighbors, Diami Brown, Juwan Johnson, Trey McBride, and Jets. You got Jaden with Brees Hall, Rico Dowdle at number 2, Jamar Chase, Diami Brown, Malik Neighbors, Stone Smart, Cortland Sutton, and Chargers. Again, we're sorting by the highest ROI lineups. So if you want to see what kind of these best lineups look like with these various QBs, that's why we're doing it. Number 3 is Jaden, Derrick Henry, Chuba Hubbard, Jamar Chase, Terry McLaurin, Diami Brown, Brenton Strange, Stone Smart, and Ravens. Do my top 5 QBs. Sneaky. That's one way to do that. You want to see Rodgers? All right, let's look at Rodgers. This is a real shit list of QBs. I get the Josh Allen one. We've seen enough Bryce Young, I think. But let's look at Rodgers. We got Rodgers with Brees Hall, Chuba Hubbard, Devontae Adams, Cortland Sutton, Brian Thomas Jr., Tyler Conklin, who I guess is out, you guys were saying before. I didn't see that this morning, but maybe the case. James Conner, Cardinals D. Number 2, Aaron Rodgers, James Conner, Brees Hall, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Adam Thielen, Tyler Conklin again. So throw that out. Probably Ruckert won't project as well, so these lineups maybe not the best to go off of and steal straight away. Khalil Shakir, Cardinals D. Number 3, Aaron Rodgers, James Conner, Chuba Hubbard, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Jerry Jeudy, Brenton Strange, Ladd McConkey, and Cardinals D. Got a request for Tua here. I'm just taking them in order, guys, so can't guarantee I'll hit all of them for you, but I'll do the best I can. Oh, no. Oh, no. Here we go. All right. Tua lineups. We got Tua with Chuba Hubbard, Brees Hall yet again, Tyreek Hill, Calvin Ridley, Jalen Waddle, Chika Okonkwo, Trey McBride, Jets. You got to give the Sims respect. They're saying they're not backing down off the Brees Hall take. We made fun of him, and the Sims like, no, I will not walk away. Lance Harbour-Stacks, probably not well. Jason Street stacks really poorly, unless it's a rollerball league. Got Tua Tagovailoa, Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, Tyreek Hill, Calvin Ridley, Jalen Waddle, Dalton Schultz, Trey McBride, Cardinals D. Tua to bring back on that one. This one, a single sack with Tua, Chase Brown, Rico Dowdle, Ladd McConkey, Khalil Shakir, Jalen Waddle, Juwan Johnson, James Conner, Dolphins. One thing I will say is I feel like the Sims have loved the Dolphins doubles all year long. They haven't hit very often. If you like Jalen Waddle, you can. Jalen Waddle is never really a priority play for me. It can happen again. They both can go off. I personally just don't love it. You wants to see Drake May. We got Drake May with Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, Nico, Adam Thielen, Kayshon Boutte, Hunter Henry. Oof, what a double stack. Brees Hall and Jets. We'll get Josh Allen coming up in a moment. Drake May, Brees Hall, Brian Robinson, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Zay Flowers, Hunter Henry, Stone Smart, Chargers D. At number 3 is Drake May, Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, Nico Collins, Cortland Sutton, Adam Thielen, David Njoku, Hunter Henry, and Browns D. So honestly, I don't feel that great about these. I like it when you have a more trustworthy group. Like the best example I have is a couple weeks ago before Caleb Williams started playing well. Like Caleb Williams stack looks good a lot. We've seen Russell Wilson stacks looks good a lot, where it's like the lineup looks great and you just have this double stack put on top of it. I don't feel that way about these Drake May lineups, I have to say. But granted, a lot of Brees Hall still. All right. Josh Allen. People want to see Josh Allen. We'll look at Jared Goff too after this. You got Josh Allen, Chuba Hubbard, Brees Hall, Khalil Shakir again. I think he is the most logical stack partner for Josh Allen if you're going to go there. Just not as good of a play as he was when there was everybody out in the pass game core. Calvin Ridley, Josh Downs, Stone Smart, Najee Harrison, Jets. We knew that already about Bucky. We got Josh Allen, Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, Khalil Shakir, Zay Flowers, Amari Cooper, Brenton Strange, Trey McBride, and Cardinals D. And we got Josh Allen, Tony Pollard, Brian Robinson Jr., Khalil Shakir, Brian Thomas Jr., all the juniors here, Amari Cooper, Stone Smart, Rico Dowdle, and Jags. These don't do a lot for me, I got to say. Like, you're giving up a lot, I think, by playing Josh Allen. I get trying to tackle the upside, but, like, it was a unique spot in that Rams game last week. I think people are going to play, like, it doesn't seem like the Sims naturally like these lineups, I have to say. I think people are going to try to chase these, and I'm not sure that they actually are good plays. But hey, I get it. It's the highest total of the week. Jared Goff, Chuba Hubbard, Brees Hall, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jerry Jeudy, Jalen Waddle, Stone Smart, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Cardinals. Number 2 is Jared Goff, James Conner, Chuba Hubbard, Jerry Jeudy, Zay Flowers, Jamison Williams, Trey McBride, Sam Laporta, and Brown. So you're getting Amon-Ra on one, no Amon-Ra on the next. That's fair. Jared Goff at number 3. Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Cortland Sutton, Garrett Wilson, Sam Laporta, Stone Smart, and Jets. So you're not really getting a game stack here. Here's one with a bring back. Goff with Chuba, Rico Dowdle, Amon-Ra, Judy, Khalil Shakir. So if you're going to have a bring back, it does seem like it would favor Shakir. Laporta, Henry, and Browns D. All right. Which low price QB do you have the most faith in today? I'm honestly not there in my process yet. Does Jameis count? I would take shots on Jameis at 5,500. I think would be the best play. I have to dig into. I'm going to toy with Jake Haener stuff, though he's 5,100. It's not that great of a price tag. I'm probably going to play around with DeVito stuff, but I don't know if I'll actually play either guy. But I think if you're going to play a cheap guy, you can take a shot. Who else do you have to look at? Is any other requests? Serious one, Russell Wilson. Okay. Got Russell Wilson with Chuba Hubbard. They're all negative ROIs. So it does not support you playing Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, Chuba Hubbard, but honestly, he's going to have to throw. It's just, I don't think the targets with him are good enough to want to go to a Russ stack. But anyway, Russ with Chuba, Rico Dowdle, Nico, T. Higgins, Marvin Harrison Jr., Mark Andrews, Pat Freiermuth, and Cardinals D. So you get a single stack with Freiermuth. I don't hate the lineup, but I don't think if Freiermuth does well enough to make a lineup, I'm not sure it's a guarantee that Russell Wilson would make a lineup as well, like a winning lineup. Russell Wilson at number 2 with Connor, Chuba, Nico, A.J. Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Conklin, Freiermuth, and Cardinals. And number 3, Russ with Henry, Chuba, A.J. Brown, Higgins, Van Jefferson, Juwan Johnson, Freiermuth, and Ravens. Going to look at Jalen Hurts real fast because this just makes me think of Jalen Hurts. If you want to fully buy the pass game narrative, can we do Tommy DeVito? Oh, my God. You guys want everything. Should have just done every QB, I guess. You got Jalen Hurts, James Conner, Chuba Hubbard, A.J. Brown, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Brenton Strange, Stone Smart, and Cardinals D. Number 2, Jalen Hurts, Chuba Hubbard, Tank Bigsby, A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, Devontae Smith, David Njoku, Stone Smart, and Browns D. And number 3 would be Jalen Hurts, James Conner, Chuba Hubbard, A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams, Devontae Smith, double Devontae, Dalton Schultz, Brenton Strange, and Panthers D. I don't mind these lineups. I think getting the A.J. Brown, Devontae double, given just the narrative going around here, I'll take a few shots on that. I don't mind it. Will Levis here. All right, well, here we haven't taken one from Andrews before, but I'll do Stroud too. We'll get them all. But don't add any more in, guys. Love of God. All right, Levis stacks. You got Will Levis with Chuba Hubbard, Breece Hall again, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Calvin Ridley. So single stack with Ridley, not a surprise. Hunter Henry, Rico Dowdle, and Jets. You got to bring back on this one in a double stack for Levis. Levis, Chase Brown, Breece Hall, Jerry Jeudy, Calvin Ridley, Trey McBride, Rico Dowdle, and Browns. If you buy in the Breece Hall stuff, it's not a bad lineup. Number 3 would be Will Levis, Rico Dowdle, Breece Hall, Jamar Chase, Calvin Ridley, Pop Douglas, Hunter Henry, James Conner, and Cowboys. So a headless New England double is kind of weird. All right. See, Stroud, look at him real fast. And we'll close it out with Tommy DeVito. And for S. Mitch, it's hard for me to do that the same way because for NBA, I have my own projections I could reference for it, but I'll see what I can come up with at the end. CJ Stroud lineups, you got Stroud, Chuba, Rico Dowdle, Nico Collins, Jerry Jeudy, Josh Downs, Dalton Schultz, Trey McBride, and Colts. One thing I will say, if you have Cade Stover out, Schultz, I get him appearing more. The week 14 bye, Stroud stacks appeal to me immensely. They did not look good in ETR as a solver last night, though. It's one thing that kind of spooked me. Number 2 here, Stroud with Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, Nico Collins. Ladd McConkey gets in this one. Jerry Jeudy, Zach Ertz, Dalton Schultz, and Browns. Number 3 here for Stroud. Stroud, Chuba Hubbard, Breece Hall, Tyreek Hill, Zay Flowers, Josh Downs, Dalton Schultz, Rico Dowdle, and Jets. And there was one more request. Oh, DeVito. We want to see, just for funsies, I'll look at DeVito and Haener, and we'll call it a day. Tommy DeVito stacks, still positive ROI in this one. Actually, not a bad one at 61%. DeVito, Brian Robinson Jr., Chuba Hubbard, Jamar Chase, Malik Neighbors, Elijah Moore, Zach Ertz, James Conner, and Browns D. Number 2, DeVito, James Conner, Rico Dowdle, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Cortland Sutton, Malik Neighbors again, not a surprise. They're all with Neighbors. Noah Gray, Ladd McConkey, and Cowboys. Noah Gray feels like an insane play, but Cleveland's defense does suck. I guess I get it. Feels a little chasey, though, for Noah Gray's recent big days. Number 3 is DeVito, Saquon Barkley, reuniting the old friends from the Giants. Chuba Hubbard, Brian Thomas Jr., Malik Neighbors, Calvin Ridley, Brenton Strange, Amr. That's a sick team. I got to say, the only thing you really need to happen here is DeVito to Neighbors. Like everything else looks pretty good. Like Brent Strange as a pay down. You're getting some part of Buffalo, Detroit. Titans D against Cincinnati is a little bit tough. I get that, but that's a fun line. Those are the kind of ones I look at where I'm like, all right, all you need is like this one QB wide receiver correlation to hit. We saw Herbert on ETR. I don't know, whatever. Jake Haener lineups here. Jake Haener with Chuba Hubbard, Brian Robinson Jr., Jamar Chase, Ladd McConkey. So a Haener double with a bring back of Brian Robinson Jr. That's interesting. MVS, Juwan Johnson, Rico Dowdle, and Bengals. Look, I think Jake Haener was pretty good. He played at Fresno State, and I believe that's where he played. Because Clayton Tune was Houston that year. I think he's a good player. Like, I think he's not as bad as people think. I know the meme photos went viral this week of him looking stupid in whatever photo shoot he did, making a lot of Zoolander faces. He's like a legit backup QB. Hasn't played great on the year, but I think Jake Haener interesting. Haener, Chuba, Rico, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, MVS, Juwan Johnson, Trey McBride, Saints, and Jake Haener with Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, Nico, Adam Thielen, MVS, Juwan Johnson, Brian Robinson Jr., and Bengals. Fucking do Herbert. I swear to God, guys. If you put in one fucking more, I'm going to ban you all. Do Herbert with Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, Malik Neighbors, Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr., Stone Smart, Breece Hall, and Chargers. I hate just reading names over and over again, I have to say. Herbert, Chuba Hubbard, Breece Hall, Jamar Chase, Jerry Jeudy, Jalen Waddle, Trey McBride, Stone Smart, Browns. It's because there's nobody else you can really stack with Haener. Like Kamara you could do, but that's basically it. Spags double should be chalk, I think. Number 3, Justin Herbert, Chuba Hubbard, Breece Hall, T. Higgins, Ladd McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr., Dalton Schultz, Rico Dowdle, and Chargers. And our last one, and I swear to God, our last one here. No, we're not doing Bryce or Tom Brady. We had one more in here. Nix, Bo Nix for Adam. For our other Adams, we love them. Original Adam, meh. You saw Bryce Young, though. It's going to be fucking Thielen and Chuba. Bo Nix, Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Devontae Smith, Juwan Johnson, Rico Dowdle, Browns D, Bo Nix, Alvin Kamara, Chase Brown, Cortland Sutton, Elijah Moore, Devon Valley. It's his game. Big matchup boost for Devon Valley. He's going to go for fucking 20 this week. I'm going to cry. Devon Valley, Jake Ferguson, Breece Hall, and Cowboys. And number 3, Bo Nix, Rico Dowdle, Chuba Hubbard, Cortland Sutton, Adam Thielen, Devon Valley, David Njoku, Jameer. This is too much Devon Valley. I got to say, if you're going to fucking stack the Broncos, go to Cortland Sutton. I think it's the move. Trying to get different there, but that's that. All right, your splash plays for the week. Before we do those, guys, make sure to check out the sponsors. Make sure to subscribe down below with the like button, leave a comment. Get Underdog, $1,000 of bonus cash, link in the description, or use promo code SPLASH on there. Stokastic, 15% off, link in the description, or use promo code SPLASH on Stokastic. Unabated, $30 off. I forget if the link's in the description or not, but just go to Unabated, use promo code SPLASH. Get better bets in for yourself, no matter what sport you're playing. NBA is a great one as well. And the Solver, link in the description for them too. All right, my splash plays of the day. It's Jaden and Terry, number 1. Jaden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, both 5% owned. That's the stack I'm going to play and take some shots at. Obviously, for 20 maxes, for when 50 maxes, play some other stuff. But like getting one spot of Jaden and Terry, that's one. Number 2, I do think Chuba's a good play. It's really complicated with the ownership on how to feel about him. Part of me wants to just jam him in, but I feel like my instinct is always just to jam the RB in. And then that RB gets hurt in the fucking first drive, and I want to kill myself. I want to... whatever you're supposed to say, that's not that that phrase. That said, I think Chuba's still a good play. I do think Quentin Johnson scores a touchdown this week. So I would say, I know that makes him a good enough DFS play. I do feel pretty strongly about that. Anything else? I think it's really the Jaden Terry thing. Like, that's so low owned. Nobody's going to play it. That and Chuba. And also, too, Brian Robinson, the same game. Like, Commanders are going to put up 30, I think, again today. And I think they're going to do it pretty easily against New Orleans. And maybe a bring back comes with it. But that's that. Unalive. That's it. I should want to unalive myself. Stone Cold Smart, his parents. Oh, honestly, Stone Smart. I don't know how much I'm going to play him. Like, I don't think he's going to be in everything. Stone Smart really impressed me watching the film. He only had like 3 catches that last game. But man, they were like explosive breaking out routes, like downfield 20 yards. Really good usage for him. 3 targets in 1/2 as well last game. So Stone Smart as a value tight end. Like, I think there's a lot of merits to paying up for McBride, a lot of merits to go into Kelsey perhaps as a leverage against the higher dollar tight ends. But Stone Smart, I think, is minimum salary guy. I'm curious to see what he does. He's got like a good build. good hands, plays well with Herbert, their pals, all that. So there we go. GL, make sure to jam Valley. Yeah, it's a Devon Valley week, guys. That's what we know here. But I appreciate all you guys tuning in. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And of course, I'll be back tomorrow with more for the showdown. So please do that. Gamble responsibly. Even it is always money time here on Splash Play. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. And watch out for Chunkies. I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck. Bye-bye.